Ladies and gentlemen, it is Primer Time. My name is Michael,
and this is
Dan
Primer
is out. Take care of Mom.
Dan is on
more important things in life. Dan, good luck. Good luck to your mom.
Right.
I'm joined tonight by Captain Gringo.
How you doing, Michael?
Not too bad, not too bad. And all the way from South Korea, now back in the United States, my brother Nick.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Not bad. Good to hear you, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Nice to have you on tonight, Nick.
I appreciate it. It's good to be back and glad to be out of the land of the not quite right.
We're glad to have you back home because, like it or not, you may be back in the land of not quite right.
It's better than where I was, so I ain't complaining.
We're glad you're home, man. We need guys like you here.
Good. So, what's going on here? Like I said, I'm getting used to it, and it's all coming a bit fast. It's going to take me a second to catch up. But what's the word on the street?
Word on the street: Chicago hit another high score this weekend.
Woohoo! Is the next one free?
No, I think they got a whole. I think you got to fill the whole punch card.
No hanging chads, right?
No chads. People in Chicago don't vote. It's apparent. Or if they do, they vote the exact wrong way. 47 shot in Chicago over the weekend, 5 dead, and once again, the call is for stricter gun control. I wonder just how many times, this is like several weekends in a row, that Chicago tries to break last week's record. And if they don't do it, they come within 2 or 3 of it. And the result is inevitably the same. Monday morning, the Chicago police chief comes out and calls for stricter gun control.
Well, my question is this, and maybe you guys can help me out. If we're getting 40-something people shot and only 5 dead, why isn't the call for like actual firearms training? If these guys are going to go out there and do it half-assed, they should actually be going out there and making their targets actually hit.
That'd make too much damn sense, Nick.
I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense to me at all that 45 people get shot at and only 5 die. I mean, come on, that's horrible shooting.
Well, you also have to take into account, half of these shots probably come from, a moving vehicle or somebody holding the gun sideways, and grabbing their crotch at the same time that they're holding the firearm sideways.
So that sounds like profiling, and profiling is wrong.
I'm telling you, Homeboy Night Sights has a place in the world.
It does.
Put them on your Glock Photo or your High Point, whichever one.
Yeah, whatever works.
So that's pretty disturbing, and I don't know if anybody saw it, but Mayors Against Illegal Guns, in association with Moms Demand Action, they're trying now to make the firearms control and the gun control issue a woman's issue now. And they, I don't know if anybody saw the commercial that they released, where it shows an idyllic home life, and all of a sudden a man is kicking in a door, and the woman is on the phone with 911, and she says, "It's my ex-husband, and he's angry." And he finally kicks in the door, and he smacks the woman around, and he tries to take the kid, and then at the end of right towards the end of the Good evening, are we live?
We are live, finally.
Cool. It's good to hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a delayed Primer Time. My name is Michael, and Dan is taking one for the team tonight. Sorry about the funky intro. Tonight we've got Colby Osen with us. Colby, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, I'm co-host over at Double Cross Radio with Chuck and Drew and David. Gun activist. I'm AR builder, reloader, and live over in Oregon right now. I got out of the Army about 4 years ago, moved back home, and I've been staying here ever since.
Gun activist, that's something I like to hear. Well, we're wonderful. I think it's wonderful you're on with me tonight, and I really appreciate your help. Did you have a chance to play with any kind of firearms this week or anything? Deal with any kind of firearms?
Actually, I got to take out the co-host of Double Cross Radio, or the host of Double Cross Radio, sorry, and we went shooting with his friend from Poland.
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be nice. They've got a different mindset when it comes to firearms usage. They seem to have a more comprehensive approach to it. Children seem to learn how to actually function with them. They don't learn by video game.
Well, I mean, he shot my AR, and he was really well balanced. He was really good at most of your fundamentals and was hitting the target every time. So, I mean, yeah, definitely understandable now why he was like that, because I didn't know they did that in Poland, actually.
Do you like, when you shoot, do you like to shoot any kind of a communist or former communist ammunition in your AR, or do you pretty much stick to brass?
I do not run steel case. I will not run steel case.
Well, why won't you run steel case?
For one, I've always shot brass. I was in the military for 8 years, so I mean that's what we did. That's what we've always done. I like to reload my ammo, so I can't reload steel case. Obviously, that's one other thing, and it gives a lot of wear and tear on an AR for sure.
When you say wear and tear from a steel case, do you think that the wear and tear comes from the steel case, or from the lacquer coating that's used for the waterproofing, or maybe a difference in the powder? Where do you see the wear and tear from steel case? Because you're quite familiar and proficient with AR-15s. You build them as
I put them together from scratch.
I imagine. So where would you see the wear that comes from a steel case in an AR-15?
Honestly, just the case itself. It's a lot more friction with the steel case.
Does it have something to do with the expansion rate versus the brass?
I haven't checked that myself. I've just always been leery of it.
Okay. I recently had an issue happen with me and some CCI 158 grain 38 special blazer ammunition. It was a full metal jacketed flat point in an aluminum case. I don't know if you're kind of familiar with the CCI blazer line.
Yeah, I've ran some of them. They're all right. They're not too bad.
Right, and in 9mm and 45, it's okay. Well, I had an issue with some of them. I had split cases. The cases just gave way, and so I sent them back. And I called CCI, and they got back to me. And UPS was at my door to pick up a box, and so I sent the box back to them. And CCI actually got back to me, and they sent me 3 boxes of American Eagle 158 grain brass, and it's a round nose lead to replace they got the few rounds that actually they just malfunctioned horribly. And I got to talking to the guy and asked him what the reason was, because it wasn't like the primer didn't blow out. The case is all split along the sides and in the middle of the case, like it was that the metal gave way there. And he offered me a really interesting explanation. I don't know, you might be familiar with this. I wasn't. But the container I was keeping them in was a leather container, and he said that the solution used to tan the leather had weakened the aluminum to the point the discoloration had weakened the aluminum, and that's what caused my failures. I thought that was pretty interesting, and they did make it right. They did make the situation right. I wasn't harmed. The weapons weren't harmed. And I don't know if you'd ever come across anything like that.
Well, not with aluminum cases, no, but I do know that obviously how corrosion works, and aluminum is a lot weaker if you think about it in that capacity in a shell than brass is, or even steel for that factor. So,
but the whole idea about the aluminum is that it doesn't corrode, right? Aluminum generally doesn't corrode unless you hit it with gallium or something like that. But I found it interesting that the discoloration was enough to weaken those cases. Per the representative at CCI. Now, to me, it tells me 2 things: that either they use some really wicked tanning chemicals, or the aluminum is at the engineered appropriate thickness, and that's all it can do.
Right, as in it's a limit.
Yeah,
If it was any thinner, it'd just break out anyway.
Right, if it was any thinner, it'd probably be Pepsi can. Because it's pretty thin. It was, a good handful, maybe 11 or 12 of them had absolutely no weight. So,
So you could have squibbed that one. That wouldn't have been good.
I don't. There was no squib. Everything was fine. I was shooting them out of a Marlin 1894 lever action rifle, and then out of a Blackhawk single action. And I just noticed they were really funny when the report was really funny when I fired in the lever action rifle, and then I found the cases that I ejected, and I saw the smoke and crack on it, and then I tried just a couple just to see what happened. I mean, a Blackhawk is a fairly stout pistol. It's not going to. I think you really have to try to destroy the Blackhawk too. I don't know if you're familiar with it, or if you even like them. Some people really have a disdain for revolvers anymore. I really like single action revolvers though.
Well, I do know that when I went out to shoot my 49 Blazer ammo, I did see casings like that. I just never actually paid any attention to it.
They did crack.
Yes. Down the side.
For you? All right. I've shot plenty of the 9mm before that, and I'd never had any kind of issue with it. And I think I'm probably going to stay away from the Blazer any further. Time's too short for me to get, an eyeball put out because, something blew up.
I can definitely agree with that one.
So it appears that CCI, Federal, and ATK are all one company, because that's the label that it came from. From the day that he said it would be to me, it was there 2 days later. And FedEx right to the door, and no signature or anything. It just be taken by hand, which I thought was pretty nice. So I still have no problem with CCI, and I still think that CCI Stingers are the best 22 one rifle ammunition in the world. I wish I had 35,000 rounds of it. Really, I like that stuff a lot. You shoot 22?
Yeah. I've got an old 1938. Not really a preference, no. Usually I just now, because of the selectability, I've just got what I've got. I've used Blazers 22 ammo, and it's not actually that bad.
Right. I find CCI Blazer 22 just to be a little bit dirty. The exposed lead bullet, I just find it just to be a little dirty. But it runs fine in anything I've ran it in.
Actually, I ran some of that Blazer through a Sig Mosquito, and it ran pretty well, actually. It didn't malfunction as much.
Really?
Yep.
The Sig Mosquito is a little touchy little item. I think when that came out, it was supposed to be used with CCI mini mags only.
Yeah, it only likes... It's not just the mini mag. I think there's another one, too, that CCI makes it. It only really likes those rounds, and they're expensive, actually, for 22. But I threw a Blazer in there for fine. But I threw Blazer in there fine.
There's three sort of speedy 22 long rifles from CCI. There's the mini mags, the Stingers, and then the Velocitors, and those move at
And I lost you there for a second. Now you're back.
Oh, yeah. We're playing that game. Yeah, CCI, I don't know if you caught that, but CCI has three sort of premium hyper-velocity rounds. They have the Stingers, they have the mini-mags, and they have a new one that's been out for a couple of years called the Velociter. And they're all above 1,400 feet per second. And that's what a lot of the newer AR-15s and polymer pistols really have a liking for, is that really high velocity, lighter weight stuff. Do you have any 22 that you just absolutely don't like?
I don't believe I've actually found any, but I'm shooting at an old tube-fed long rifle that's bolt action, so it's going to eat whatever goes in it. So
Yeah, as long as it's in good condition, yeah, it should usually feed and take everything. You ever play with a Ruger 1022, America's favorite 22 rifle?
I don't actually believe I have.
Okay, I really enjoy those. Those are, I think they're quite a value. If you can find one under $300, go ahead and pick that up. That's really a nifty item to have. They're, I believe it's something over 60 million of those have been sold in the United States.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a ton. I may be wrong on those numbers. It may be 6 million. I don't know. It's a bunch. It's truly a ton of rifles. But so Chicago looks like it had. We were listening to sort of on the little pregame of the rewind of last week that we caught at the beginning. Once again, Chicago had another high score weekend. They had 29 shots, 6 dead. The only thing is I did not see any kind of news story showing the chief of police in Chicago coming out screaming for gun control again, which has been his usual steps to take every Monday morning to start screaming about how federal gun laws are because of Chicago's ills. I don't know if you happen to catch any of that, or if you even pay attention to that kind of news.
Sorry, I was scrolling our chat room for a second. No, I watch a lot of different news on Facebook all the time, but it is kind of sad that happens every couple days, every weekend, and guess what? Not a news report about it. Not one.
Well, I find it odd that every weekend they do the same thing. They scream the same screams. They cry the same fear-based cries, but they know it's going to have absolutely zero effect. And I don't know. It's disheartening to see, just because every weekend, every death brings the anti-firearm forces a little more strength, and yeah, they grow in number every day.
Well, it's not even just I mean, we had backdoor gun control just recently. If you want to be practical about it, we did when we sanctioned Russia with Kalashnikov.
Well, and lots of ammunition, lots of spare parts. I believe it applies to Russian optics as well. Yeah, that's a pretty it's a pretty big hit is what they took. I mean, and there were some products from the Kalashnikov concern I was kind of looking forward to. You know, they were supposed to have a 9mm AK coming out this year.
That'd be nice in a stubby.
I thought that would be just pretty nifty. The pictures I saw was with a 16-inch barrel on a folding stock, and it looked like they sort of looked like MP5 magazines in it. And I just thought, wow, that's got to be on the must-have list right there. But I don't think that's coming in now.
I was thinking AK pistol.
Oh, there was a lot of AK pistols. There still seems to be some AK pistols for sale, but of course not the Russian ones. They're Romanian ones or Serbian ones or Yugoslavian ones, it appears mostly. Are you seeing what is the used market in your area, Bear, and what seem to be the items on?
I haven't been checking the used markets too
mostly traded off.
Most of the people are just saying, hey, you know, can you teach me how to build my own AR for cheaper? That's what I usually end up with. But there's a lot of people that do back here and there sell some of their old stuff that they don't want for different stuff. I mean, if you want to find it, the market's got it.
Do you see well, if you're not paying attention to it, you might not see that. But here in my area, which is southern Texas. It appears that the market's kind of stretched out. People are no longer buying willy-nilly like they were a few months ago, and it really appears that people are looking more for home defense items. There's nobody really looking for that the unicorn or the one of a kind that completes their collection unless they've got a large bankroll behind them. AR-15s are not selling for $1,100. AR-15s sometimes don't sell at $700. AK-47s come in at about $850 as long as it's not a Wasser. Some of the spaceship-looking rifles, like the Scar or the Vor, which I really kind of bore those. Those are coming in. People have no problem asking $3,200 for them. So the market's kind of all over the place.
Well, I've heard rumors that Segas are getting up to about $1,400 right now.
I think the converted Sega rifle in 7.62 by 39 will take $1,000, and a converted Sega shotgun in 12 gauge will take probably about $1,200, $1,400. I can see that if it's a good conversion. If you've got Tapco crap on it, sorry, you're not going to get it.
We were getting those for about $400 recently.
I think my very first Sega cost $399. That's what I paid for mine, or $359. Long time ago. The downside to the Sega is, well, it's the weight, really, and it's not necessarily the weight of the shotgun. It's the weight of all the ammunition that you get to carry with it.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of any drums for the Segas? Because I got really picky. I only like the drum from MD Arms. I did not like anybody else's drum.
Well, I don't have one. I've shot a couple, and it was nice to shoot one with a drum, but so I didn't get.
You know what kind of drum it was? Do you remember how many rounds it held?
I don't remember that either. Nope.
Yeah. MD Arms made one that holds 20, and then Tapco kind of copied their design and changed it as Tapco does, which means they cheaped it up as much as possible, and they make a 12-round version and a 20-round version of that drum. And from what I understand, the Tapco drums don't work, and the MD Arms drum always works. So I think it's a difference in the quality of materials, whatever cost-saving measures they took in the construction of it.
I know I don't even like Tapco mags for my AR, so.
I don't like Tapco anything. I mean, I think anytime anybody puts Tapco on something, the baby Jesus Christ. Really, it's evil stuff. I really do not like Tapco, and anybody that takes Tapco's responsible for making that T6 stock go onto everything, and I think that's just an abomination. And I like guys that put the T6 stock on AK-47s drive me bonkers. Especially the side folding T6 stock. I think that's the ugliest one of all. It's collapsible, 6 position, and it folds to the side. No. Yeah, it come with a cup holder or something as well.
Yeah, a cup holder.
I think a Picatinny mount, so you can put on a I don't know, easy bake oven or something.
I think they also gave away those beer holding helmets with those.
I would be surprised. Magpul is now making a tactical beer helmet, tactical alcoholic beverage dispensing headgear.
Magpul is?
Probably. If Magpul did, they could probably sell it for $129.
That's a pretty good point. and people would buy.
I also don't like Pro Mag stuff. I really got a problem with Pro Mag. I think Pro Mag actually stands for Please Remember. I'm there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
We're back on the air.
We haven't even touched any of the good subjects that normally get us thrown off. So, what do you think of the California Assemblyman that's trying to ban body armor, enhanced body armor for civilians?
I think it's a pretty big statement. You're pretty much saying that you do not deserve the same protection as other people if you wish to afford that to yourself.
Right. I think that's pretty ominous when they actually take away something that has no other purpose than to be a means of defense.
You know, it's kind of funny they're doing that too, because one of the people that in one of the school shootings, it was a father, I do believe, who lost their child, built this thing that was a bulletproof blanket, and he's trying to market them to schools. So would they remove that too?
I saw that. I saw that. That was the most horrible item I think I'd seen for sale in a long time. It was just a bunch of layers of Kevlar, and the kid was supposed to like crawl and drop to the corner of the wall and put the blanket over him, right?
Yep, that was the one.
Yeah, and I think the ones I saw, they were painted or dyed bright red or bright orange or something, like as a target is over here.
Yeah, they were safety red.
I wonder how much extra they would cost in tactical black. Well, the nice thing about this is that the guy has actually made these and nobody buys them. They'll probably be for sale at cheaper than dirt in about a year and a half, and they'll probably only be $499 a piece.
That's not a bad idea, because those would probably fit in truck walls and stuff like that.
Oh, I would imagine they fit in a lot of places. I know you can buy bomb blast blankets at sometimes at the surplus auctions, and those are pretty nice. They're usually 10 by 10, and they're actually IJA rated to stop 9mm 357 and 44 Magnum.
Man.
Yeah, and then all kinds of shrapnel.
That could be a beneficial tool at some point.
I think they're kind of heavy, though. I think a 10 by 10, I think they weigh about 70 pounds. It's not a light item, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely not something you put in your pack.
No, absolutely not. I don't even think you'd have to make a fairly decent frame if you were going to incorporate that into a wall or something. I don't think you could just kind of screw it to the wall using drywall screws or anything.
That's not a bad idea though for a panic room, like rich people have.
There's a business in that now. I mean, there's a real business in it. I heard a commercial on. I listen to the Austin radio, the Austin mainstream station every once in a while, and I heard it. I heard a guy advertising building safe rooms for people, and he didn't give any kind of price. And he said, he can fit your every need, and I can't imagine what he'd charge, and really how much he'd charge, and how much the average guy could do that on his own,
It's
at a fraction with the trips to Home Depot.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how much the markets have changed differently recently, because there's all kinds of different stuff that you're like, where did this come from?
What are you seeing that's making you wonder where that come from?
Solar-powered roads, all kinds of stuff, man. There's always something flying off the shelf, and you're like, what?
You know, the item I heard kind of like that, and this is kind of off the subject, but it relates to the subject, is there was some paint that they were talking about that was glass. And I'm not talking about fiberglass. It actually hardened to like beer bottle glass. And you just brushed it on and painted it. And it said it would revolutionize the oil well industry because it would eliminate the need to have to go out and, repaint these things, and oil wells would last 100 times as long. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I'd like to get a couple gallons of that stuff, because I tell you what, I'd paint cars in that.
You could definitely find some pretty different uses for that stuff.
Which kind of brings up another thing. How do you how does the weather treat your firearms in Oregon?
It's pretty fair. I don't have a rust issue. Fair.
Okay. I'm on the coast, high salinity in the air, and I have rust issues. If it's blued and I touch it, it immediately has to get wiped down with a rag that's been soaking in gear oil. I'm almost to the point where I'm just going to take everything and give it a good coat of like bearing grease, and then vacuum seal them.
It's not a bad idea. There are a lot of people that do it.
I've seen, I pay attention to a couple of kind of on the edge blogs, and there's a guy who writes for one of these blogs. I'm not going to really, because he writes some things that I don't necessarily agree with, but something he wrote that really cracked me up was he keeps a 1911 cocked and locked in a food saver bag in his shower.
Okay, yeah.
I think if you're in that situation where you need to keep a 45, cocked and locked in your shower, I think it's time to move. You're in the wrong area.
Or you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you made some enemies. Consider life choices. With the Oregon mindset being much different than the Texas mindset, how do the gun shops in your area portray firearms? Do you have any of the gun shops that really push the safety issue more? Do you have any gun shops that are more rebel flag in the air, come and take it kind of a thing, or is it a mix in between? How do the attitudes of the gun shops kind of portray themselves?
Ours are all a little bit different. We've got one that's more of like a younger guy, new age, where everything's kind of glamorized, and then we've got it's zombified a little bit and glamorized, and then we've got one that's more of just I'm wearing a polo professionals, everything's back on the wall, and then we've got one that's just a couple of the good old boys. It's the place I always go into.
Yeah. What are the price breakdowns between those two, or those three shops? Which one would have the best deals?
Honestly, the good old boys that have the best deals, because the other one that's got all the flashy stuff is more of he wants to bring in top dollar guns and silencers and everything all the time. So
right. So he's the guy pushing the tactical Glocks and the glorified paintball gear.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We've got a shop like that in the big city near me. Used to have just a little hole in the wall shop that was next to a boot repairman and insurance salesman or something, and he moved into a building and remodeled the whole building and turned it into his gun shop. And yeah, he pushes the zombie aspect, and he really likes to have some of the flashier firearms. He's not really pushing anything that's like gold plated or anything like that, but he's got a fair amount of chrome firearms in there, and he does have the movie pistols and the movie rifles, the ones that are popular in the video games. But I do notice that he prices his ammo quite high versus everybody else. It seems that some of his firearms are maybe 10 to 15% more than everybody else, but his ammunition is seriously more expensive than everybody else. And I just wonder if the markup is in the ammunition. If that's where they make their money right now.
Well, I know that at that shop, those guys are building ammo, and they're all reloaders, and there's a lot of people that reload here, a whole bunch of them. So really, they don't mark it up too high. They're usually cheapest on ammo. Some of their ARs are pretty expensive, but they already know that I'm not going to do anything except for pick something up down there that's a part that I need. But they're still respectful. They understand, I'm not going to come in here and buy anything but a pistol if I'm coming in to buy something. So
I found that at this, he does tend to get a little bit cranky if you're not spending a whole lot of money. And he doesn't have time for anybody, which is okay because I don't necessarily like to talk to the guy. But just a little shorter than I'd like to see somebody who runs a business, like even with a person who's new.
Oh, he's kind of pushy, cantankerous.
Not necessarily pushy and cantankerous. He just didn't have. People come in with a lot of misconception. They've watched 25 years of TV. They've played 15 years of video games that gave them every stereotype and almost no facts other than stuff they got from rote memory. So he's a little, I think, I heard him, somebody was looking at scopes, and this kid he was a dumb kid, but he was asking questions, and I used to be a fan of there is no dumb question except for the one that's unasked. Now, I think that you should do a little bit of research, but needless to say, the kid was still asking questions, and he just happened to ask what was the best sniper scope. And he blew up, and I almost thought it was kind of inappropriate that he blew up and gave his kid such a hard time,
Yeah, it kind of comes with the territory with him and someone like that. How many times a day do they have to do that?
Yeah, I'm sure
they have to do that?
Probably, but that's what their business is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you should have that good customer service.
I find that to be a little bit lacking anymore, and to be honest with you, I see that at the gun shows. I don't know if you're a fan of going to gun shows or not. I kind of enjoy going to gun shows, right? I used to. The past couple I've been to have just been really, really disappointing.
With the price gouging?
With the pricing, with the availability, with the attitude of the guys running tables, with the I don't even know if I should be angry about the people who are uneducated that are coming in to buy or to look around. That's almost a little annoying. The prices are going through the roof, and it's things that I don't think necessarily should go through the roof. And it's all in all, I've become really soured on them in the last 2 or 3 shows that I've been to. They're no longer the fun place to go and walk around, see neat stuff, and try a reasonably priced beef jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I went in rifle shop with a buddy and was showing him, here's the price of an AR, here's the price of an AR. Now we can go build it for less and make it better. And that's what we did.
Right. And that's something that really concerns me too, with a lot of the AR-15s that are for sale now. We're just getting past the big rush on rifles, and there was quite a demand. I'm sure if you're building stuff, and you were building stuff a year ago, that some parts you just couldn't get.
I built one right after Obama got reelected.
Right. Did you try to build any after what happened in Connecticut?
I think I already had mine at that point, but I have built one since then, yes.
prices were quite a bit more than the first one you built right after Obama got elected, right?
Yeah, they were ridiculous.
Right. And so prices are ridiculous. That means there's a very high demand for the pieces, and high demand comes increased production. And I'm telling, some of the companies they're almost fly by night. I'm really kind of scared. Like earlier, we've been speaking about aftermarket stuff, and you'd mentioned that 80%, or I don't remember if you actually gave a percentage, but the stuff that you see on eBay is just garbage.
Yeah, honestly, I've ordered stuff off of Amazon or eBay, and it says it's one thing, and it's coming from China, and it's a fake Magpul knockoff. And I learned my lesson the first time. I bought one part, and I was like, "Oh, not doing it again." One part, and I was like, "Oh, again."
What did you get delivered that was fake?
A set of Magpul Embus 2s, which are flip-up backup sets.
And what did you pay for those? Because those come in at about $70 a piece for the front one, and then what is it, 85 for the rear?
I don't know where you're shopping, but no. I paid $54 for the total on those, which was really cheap. It's about $100 for the set, though.
Right. Okay. Yeah, parts are a little bit more expensive here in person, at the store.
Roger.
What was the difference? Were they serviceable?
I gave them to a buddy who didn't need as much precision. They were
okay.
The back one wasn't that bad, actually. It was a pretty good knockoff. The front one was horrible. It had a set screw for your front post holder instead of the push-down piece that the Magpul was going to want.
Really? So, what I understand from the Magpul backup sites is that they can take a little shock and like the hyper-extended movement. They can move the opposite direction. Is that correct?
They can get beat up, and they're going to be fine.
Right. And so the Chinese ones would take that same level of abuse.
I didn't think so, no. It felt like cheaper plastic, too.
Were they marked as Magpul?
They were marked with an off symbol of Magpul, and I actually contacted Magpul personally, and they were like, yeah, we have got a lot of this going on. There's stocks, their handguards, all their stuff is getting knocked off in China and sent over here.
Is it intended for the airsoft market and just redirected, or?
Theirs is, most of the Chinese stuff is intended for the airsoft market, but they also have a couple of companies that are getting away with selling it for the other market. They're mislabeling it intentionally.
How was it packed? Because now you're making me think about mine. Because I bought mine at a gun shop. I think I paid maybe $90 for everything out the door. For the front and the rear.
They should be, if you got the right ones, the good ones, they should be in a bag that is stapled to a piece of paper.
Like a kind of cardstock or something?
Yeah, nice cardboard.
Okay. That's the way they came. All right.
Yeah, you're good. The other ones will come in a double box. And it's pretty much what they do is they take the ones that are meant for airsoft and they sell them like they aren't.
Wow, okay. I know that a friend of mine has a 1911, it's actually a GSG 1911 22. And he got some airsoft grips that are Crimson Trace copies. And they work perfect.
Huh.
And I was really kind of skeptical because, I didn't think that would be able to take the recoil. But, I mean, it is a 22. And, but they work perfect, and I think he paid $49 for them.
See, and that's a steal. And if you could find a way to make some of that stuff work, make some of it work. But I've bought one other set of gun parts off Amazon, and it was some 45-degree changeouts for my actual. So it goes from one Picatinny and it has a 45-degree Picatinny on it for my backup sights on the side of my scope. And they work perfect. They've never come loose, never knocked off nothing. It's hit and miss, but
A brand we spoke about earlier was NC Star. You've used a lot of their stuff or come in contact with a good amount of their stuff? Because I really hadn't.
That's
I
actually
just
what brand they were.
Up everywhere. Okay.
NC Star is kind of like what you were talking about with Tapco. They're a lower grade. People use them, and if that's what they want to use, it's their priority to use what they want to. But I haven't liked most of their stuff for optics and things like that.
Do you find their optics to be just subpart, unworkable, or is it just gives you the cheap feeling?
They're not bad, but you get what you pay for.
Right, and usually in that situation, it's when you most need it is when it'll fail at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you, how do the people that come into the shops that you frequent, and especially new people, how do they view gun safety?
It's dependent on their raising for the most part. Most people that I've been around shooting ARs, I've gone out with a bunch of different people, and they'll take direction if they don't know, and if they do know, they're usually proper.
All right. I hate to say it, but I see it when I do go to the shops or I do go to gun shows. 90% of the time that trigger finger goes right to the trigger, and it burns me. And I wish I could. I'm actually considering making like business cards that have the 4 rules of gun safety printed on them, and just passing those out. It's fairly disturbing, that people can't keep 4 simple rules, at the forefront. And I'd like to go into them real quick if you don't mind. The first rule of gun safety is each and every gun is loaded until you physically verify that it is not loaded. So you have to open the chamber, remove the magazine, swing the cylinder open, pop the bolt back, break the action open, however you have to do it. Make sure that there is no round in the chamber. And the second rule of gun safety is that you don't want to point it at anything you don't want to shoot. Nothing that you do not intend to destroy. You should have that barrel pointed at it. Number 3 is to know what your target is and know what's beyond your target, because people do miss, and you can't bring that bullet back. And I think this is the most important rule. A lot of people disagree with me, but I think it's the most important rule. But keep your booger hook off the banks until you are ready to fire. Do not put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to pull the trigger. I can't stress that enough. I see it at shows. I would say 85% of the people I see at shows, they pick up a firearm and that's the first thing they do. It's less at shops, but at gun shows it's like 90%. And do you see people? I got you. You there?
Yeah, I thought I lost you.
No. Maybe we did. I don't know. I just went into the 4 rules of gun safety rant. I don't know. I really think that the most important rule is just to keep the trigger out of the trigger guard. That you can't have a negligent discharge if you don't pull the trigger, and you can't pull the trigger if you're not touching it. So, to me, that's the most important rule.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see.
Go ahead.
Definitely nice to see that other people understand, and when you see that they understand, you're okay with it. We see models on TV, we see memes on Facebook and catalogs. They've got their hand on the trigger. You see senators and congresswomen with their hands on the trigger as they're trying to vilify gun control. They don't even know the rules. It's all over the place.
Right. Yeah, Diane. When you mentioned senators and congressmen, I pictured Diane Feinstein on the floor of the Senate holding the AK-47 with her finger on the trigger, and yeah, That kind of says it all to me.
I know I wasn't supposed to bring up the police, but where were the police on that? She could have been an active shooter.
You know, well, if you really want to get into it, it's like the people who've expressed discontent, like all the manifesto shooters that come out now. You know, which, by the way, I think the rules have changed, and if you're going to become a spree shooter, you have to put a video on YouTube first. If not, you just don't count.
Yeah, that guy.
These things are just, you know, aside from every enemy that this nation has, that says exactly the perfect fear words, the spree shooters that threaten the rights of everybody, 90% of the time they're just doped up kids, and I'm like, spoiled doped up kids. You know, Chicago has we discussed it earlier, the weekend shooting sprees every weekend now. 30, 40, I think there was a 52 a while back. There were 84 over Mother's Day or Easter or something, some number like that. And every weekend, or every Monday morning, they come out and scream about, you know, oh, it's guns in Indiana that are coming in here. I think it's a problem with the people in Chicago. And I'm not meaning to speak ill of people in Chicago, but there's a problem when the people aren't doing something about it. And whether that's a political action to get rid of the leadership that's ineffective, or God forbid you shoot back, you know, because people are less inclined to like shoot at you if you know they're going to get shot back at.
Well,
you know, I'm a firm believer in armed society being a polite society.
People in general are actually brainwashed to be victims. You see it all over TV. You see it everywhere. What's your first reaction supposed to be if somebody starts shooting? Run away. No. You're supposed to end the target. Get it, because obviously if they're just randomly shooting at people, they don't need to be there. Don't end them. Engage.
What are your feelings on concealed weapons?
I open carry, actually. I don't have a concealed permit, but Oregon's not like Texas. I can walk around John Wayne with a pistol on my hip whenever I want to, or an AR. Whatever I would like to carry.
How often does that happen with other people besides yourself? How often do you see
open carry? All the time. Right.
Awesome.
We actually just defeated legislation.
Good. That would ban that? That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a small town.
What happens if
they were trying to put into effect if you didn't have a concealed carry permit, you could not open carry loaded, and you couldn't have loaded firearms in the city limits. And we banded together. We did an open carry March day. I even came out with a 20-inch AR and everything, the big scary gun, and walked around downtown Ashland. You know, we had a barbecue.
I was going to ask you if it was I was going to ask you if it was Ashland. I saw a video a while back cracking me up. It was Citizens for a Really, Really Safe Ashland.
That's Vigo.
And
yeah,
that is, you know, the guy who did that video?
Yeah, I got involved after seeing his video and helped a little bit with some of this stuff. And it was a big push by a lot of people, and we destroyed it. I went out actually after he did his video and talk to the city council myself, and I'm not from Ashland, but I grew up here, so I know Ashland's always been the tolerant city. But we actually did pretty good, man. We had in the end of that, we only had one person that voted for it. It was the person that proposed it. We changed the minds of a mayor who at the end said I wasn't going to vote for this either. And another bleeding heart lady. She's a good lady, but you know, her mind changed. We came in and we brought in educate as the option, and they took it.
That's nice. I swear that Citizens for a Really Safe Ashland, that was one of the best videos I've seen in a long time.
He went viral like within a couple of days.
Yeah, that was pretty nifty stuff. I thought it was what do they call it? The Church of the what is the Church of the Subgenius called it? That was the Sublime and Rife with Slack. I thought that was pretty good stuff. Hey, tonight is or this week is the second anniversary of UCY, and I'd like to just take a minute and say thank you to Jules and thank you to UCY and all the hosts on UCY for giving like-minded people a place to congregate and giving everybody a chance to express their voice. I'm not a professional radio host by any means. I'm just a guy who likes guns, and UCY has given me a platform to spout a little bit. So I just want to say thank you. And if you're out there and you've got the ability to support, please hit that chip in button or something. I'd really like that. Anybody you want to give a yell out to?
Let me check the room. I don't know who all's in here right now. I do believe Jules was in here.
You're the technical manager. I am technologically embarrassed.
Well, it's okay. I can't even get my window to pop up, so.
But once again, I really like to thank Jules for what she's done. I mean, she's given all of us a pretty innovative platform, and I wouldn't have done it without her. So
I think there's a lot of us that are pretty fortunate and thankful for this station. It gives us the chance to actually reach out and spread our voices.
Yeah, I mean, there's a myriad of voices to be heard here. Not everybody agrees, which is great because this would be the choir station other than UCY. If we can change anybody's mind and maybe get somebody out there to purchase a weapon, learn some safety, I think that'd be a great thing. Colby, I'd like to thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for your help, man, and sorry about the technical issues.
Definitely, anytime, man.
I appreciate it. Everybody stick around. Prepper Chicks Live After Dark is coming up. That's some really hard-hitting radio. Make you think, have a little bit of fun at the same time. Thank you to Jules. Happy second episode.